So lean is a process for driving transformation, really in any organization, but with great applicability in state government. It's a mechanism for taking apart a system, really looking at the individual pieces and pulling out the ones that are not adding value or are slowing down the flow. So in doing a lean process, you are able to eliminate waste, improve efficiency, and deliver better results for the customer at the end of the process, in our case, for the public and the citizens of Connecticut.
I saw an announcement for a training through Leanovations and asked that I go to the training, and it turns out that many of us in the department wanted to go to the training also, and that's how we got started. We called ourselves the Lean Implementation Team. We had top management's support.
We pioneered Lean in this agency with 3 teams. Now, 5 years later, over 50 teams have gone through Kaizen events. These teams have been across our environmental programs, and with our recent merger with Energy, we now have begun to introduce that branch of our agency to Lean as well. We have also begun partnering with other state agencies to do more statewide interagency Leans.
Kaizen is a Japanese word that means continuous improvement. Kaizen teams mean you bring a group of people together, cross-functional people, who will work on a specific opportunity to improve. And the goal here is, as a team, they're going to come up with improvement plans to help be more efficient. So when you see all these stickies up on the wall, they all represent something. Value stream map purpose is to allow people to see the opportunities. Green meaning value, yellow meaning not value but necessary, red or pink meaning no value added. By doing that, visually it engages everybody in the process.
I've seen an improvement in morale and excitement. I think that folks are starting to feel like they can make a difference, and we also hopefully can help other agencies in the state of Connecticut see what we've done, and perhaps they can make improvements in their agencies too.
We permit any work waterward of the high tide line. In the tidal, coastal, or navigable waters, we look at things from small residential docks to large marinas. We knew that things could be changed, but we really weren't sure how until we started to go through the Kaizen event and laid out the process. And it covered 2 walls of a big room. And we said, wait a minute, are all these processes really necessary?
One part of the lean process that I think worked really well was bringing in stakeholders during the Kaizen week. We brought in representatives from the Department of Transportation and consultants that we work with regularly to get their buy-in on the process.
Beginning of the week, it was so heavily involved that it actually seemed like there was no end to this week. It seemed like it was just going to keep going on, and at the end we were actually able to redevelop our entire process in 4 days.
We had tremendous results. We went from 500 days review period to under 120-day review period. Our backlog has been cut from 250 applications to under 175 applications, and it wouldn't have been possible without the lean process.
We had a serious problem with our enforcement backlog and how long it was taking for our enforcement actions to get issued and to follow up on inspection results. There's stuff coming off the pile and right down and through here. So if this area was stable, I did not have any idea what lean was, but by the end of the week I was excited for making changes. As the team leader, I was expected to direct and facilitate coming up with ideas to improve our enforcement process. There were a lot of steps along the way that made me encouraged when I started seeing successes, and that gave me the energy to get the staff motivated. The people that weren't on the lean team but were going to be affected by the outcome of our lean process were skeptical at first, but we met with them on a periodic basis to tell them how the changes were going and how they were going to affect their job. So they were encouraged after seeing our results. It takes a lot less time for us to get enforcement action out the door. We've cut down on paper, we've cut down on review times. I can get a lot more work done in a shorter period of time. And with the limited amount of staff resources that we have, it really has helped my job be a lot more successful. Okay, Fred, I just want to say thank you for letting me come in. And
It's probably a good thing that the responses from DEP back to us will be quicker and in a more timely way, because it'll take an issue that should be looked at by us, and it means that it won't fall through the cracks and be forgotten, which could create problems not just for us but for everybody.
by leaning our enforcement process, we get the regulated community to correct their violations, and both the public and the environment benefit by having cleaner water.
One day in the field would make you 3 to 4 days in the office, and we knew that just wasn't efficient. If you've ever been part of a lean team, it gets pretty hectic, and you just can't believe what you're seeing up there as for the steps that are involved. And then there's a lot of discussion because people have been doing it their way for so many years. For the skeptics out there who don't believe it could work in an office environment or this is strictly for manufacturing, don't believe it. This can be used on any kind of process.
We were able to identify many steps. I think it was about 60% of the steps were removed. Now we're able to do inspections on the site. We're able to print a report on site. And I do enjoy my job more because I'm able to be more visible, be able to take that time to talk to the members of the regulated community and understand some of their feelings and some of their concerns.
The Lean Project was a great idea for newer power plants to be approved to render the older, dirtier power plants obsolete and to shut them down.
We run air dispersion models to predict how much pollution that a source of pollution will have in a neighborhood and make sure that we protect public health.
As a former consultant, I used to submit the modeling projects to the Department of Environmental Protection, and it would take 2, 3, maybe even 4 months before we would receive approval. I came in on 2 of the 5 meetings. They had asked me my perspective from being an ex-consultant. It seemed like there were just all these stickies in different colors. Some of the colors meant that some of these procedures needed to stay in place, but there were others that we didn't need to do.
And when we came out the other end of it, we realized that, yeah, there really is a lot of room for improvement. So we were able to eliminate some supervisory oversight. We eliminated FOIA requests that we had. We put this guidance together, which really clarified our program for the regulated community. We have databases out there now on the internet that the regulated community could just grab themselves. It's freed me up to be able to concentrate on other things.
Over on this side of the state, we have Burlington Hatchery, which is a very old, almost 100-year-old hatchery. Conversely, on the eastern side of the state, we have a state-of-the-art hatchery. The process of distributing fish statewide is something that we've been doing since the early 1900s. In some ways, it was long overdue for us to really sit down and assess how we were doing things and how we were getting the job done. Previous lean teams had been done on the other side of the DEP, and this was the first one from the natural resources side.
It's good to sit down and look at things in a grand perspective to really see what you're doing. Like having the 2 different hatcheries on either side of the state, we never really sat down as one big group and looked at how it worked.
We had a wide range of outlooks on the whole process, from some people feeling that it really wasn't going to be worthwhile at all, some of us with a maybe more open mind, but I think in the end we all felt it was worthwhile.
I asked a lot of questions because I didn't know how the process went, so I posed a lot of questions and I asked a lot about how things worked and was able to give suggestions on ways I thought we could streamline the process.
It certainly was somewhat trying. There was long days trying to pull in information quickly from a lot of different areas.
So what came out of this, I think, is that we drew the group together and we became a little more consistent and comprehensive in how we addressed statewide distribution of trout.
So one of the things that we did was we started doing mixed ponds over here, so we put multiple species of fish in the same pond so that when we went to load our trucks, we didn't have to go to multiple ponds to get the mix that we wanted. We were able to go to one pond and get all the fish, and that actually helped us move faster in the morning to get our trucks out faster. Faster we get the trucks out, the better the fish are going to do. So that was a big benefit. We saved a fair amount of time doing that. And fuel costs.
I would recommend it to other factions of the agency, and whether they become more efficient from the lean process itself, or whether they become more lean thinking after the process is over. I think both of those are two big benefits.
Lean means becoming more responsive to our stakeholders and becoming more efficient as an agency.
Everybody's wondering, hey, I want to be on a lean team because, you know, they see the kinds of results that the teams are getting.
Lean is success.